I was not going to make another VidCon video. It's the last thing I wanted to do this weekend, frankly. However, I have been deputized by several YouTubers. So here we are.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hi, I'm Amanda. You're watching Swell Entertainment. And today I'm coming to you from my studio apartment in Los Angeles in my pajamas because I am bride. And the thought of actually getting dressed to film this video was not going to happen. So I did my hair and makeup and then I got back into my gym jams. I'm very comfortable right now. This is wonderful. Wanted to talk about VidCon because this was my 4th VidCon and this is now going to be my 3rd video on VidCon. I was not going to make a video this year. I mean it when I say that in the intro. I was very much looking forward this year to just kind of being a YouTuber at VidCon and meeting viewers and meeting other creators, maybe a couple of industry people and networking a little bit, just having a good time. Last year, I didn't want to make a video on VidCon either, but it was a little easier for me to give into my people-pleasing tendencies when I would meet YouTubers that I admired for the first time post-pandemic. And they were like, oh my God, are you doing a video on VidCon? Obviously, I had to say yes. And also last year was the first year that I got to be an established creator at VidCon, essentially, even though I still had a creator badge. So there was a lot more for me to talk about for what a lot of viewers and regular attendees of VidCon don't get to see. So that's what led to me making that video last year. And also it was the year that TikTok was the main sponsor instead of YouTube. But this year, YouTube was back as the main sponsor. I figured it would be a lot more of the same, normal, what I was used to. And then I got there. And now we're here. First and foremost, I want to make this abundantly clear. I had fun this week. I had a very good time. I don't know if it's coming across to you because to me, I sound like I'm speaking to you from the bottom of a well. However, everyone else at a party I went to last night told me, no, you sound fine. It sounds worse to you, which tells me my hearing is damaged from all of the loud party music because these companies forget that most creators are introverts and they just think that like, if they make a party really loud and fun, we'll post about it. So I really can't tell how I sound, but I was hoping to use this as an example of like, I had fun. I had a good time. I met a bunch of creators. Last year I made a lot of friends that were creators and we got to hang out a lot this year. Got to hang out with a lot more people that I've like interacted with, a lot of people. The phrase, I think we follow each other on Twitter was said a lot. And I had a good time. Really, I did. And there's also something very validating. That sounds shitty, but there's something very validating going into these spaces as a content creator who is kind of stuck as a mid-sized creator at this point. So much of this job, it's all screens and numbers and digital, and being able to put faces to numbers is something that is very validating. And hearing other creators that you admire say that they like your videos is very fun and very nice. That's always a bonus and a plus. That being said, if it weren't for the fact that I know people at YouTube now, and multiple of them reached out to me leading up to VidCon to make sure that I had this wristband that got me into the Hyatt, which is the creator hotel for VidCon, this would not have been worth it for me because of the current state of the expo hall and all of that. And again, I was not originally planning on making a video for this VidCon, so there's not a lot of B-roll for you guys. And the B-roll that there is probably going to be vertical format because I was going to make a bunch of TikToks and shorts for this because, hey, I went to VidCon. Last year, I had a creator badge. I had a creator badge 2 years in a row. And this year, I told my management, I have a different manager than I did last year. I said, listen, let's see if we can get me full access. A bunch of people that work at VidCon came up to me at the streamies and said they like my videos. And so maybe I can get just full access or guest or something because there used to be invited guest passes as well. I know I'm not going to be a featured creator, but maybe we can just get me a yellow badge, okay? Because there's a couple of different yellow badges. And I said, if we can't, I still would like to go this year, but this year I got to ask that you guys cover the cost, for it because you also want me to go, my management. And so sure enough, I did not get a yellow badge this year. And so my management bought me a industry pass. These are the $900 ones. Okay. And basically the plan was that by getting me an industry pass and then also me getting Hyatt access because of my contacts at YouTube and the like, that it would basically be like having full access pass, basically like industry plus a wristband. And quite a few of my friends who got full access last year or were invited guests or speakers or what have you could not get it this year. They were also just kind of gifted industry passes either from their managers, their teams, what have you. This seemed to be the running theme this year because they were kind of seeming based on what I experienced and what I heard, they were holding on to the yellow badges this year like they were gold. Now, let's speak about the Hyatt really quick because I also think this puts some things into context. Last year, I got into the Hyatt for the first time. The Hyatt, like I said, is the hotel for featured creators and plus ones and what have you that stay there. I believe you can also get rooms at that hotel, but it's a little more difficult in the block of rooms or what have you. You basically have to have permission to get a room in that location. I have a friend who did several panels for them, was on the lineup, and Vidcon did not pay for his room. He had to pay for his own room and basically had to beg to be able to get a room at the Hyatt so that he could be with the people that he was going to be running panels for and all this stuff. There's a lot. There are people that they invite to these things and it's their first time being invited to something. And so they're just so excited to be, treated as like an established creator. And look, you're important. And then they overcommit to things because these industries and these companies know if we just get like they'll do stuff because they like to be included in all this stuff. And then they get run ragged. And then they do things like this where they don't even cover the cost of your hotel room. Like, it's infuriating. And as someone who just wants to see my friends and creators succeed, it's also infuriating because it's like I'm trying to get more people to advocate for themselves because it's sometimes very difficult. It's very hard, especially when you're being told that you're special. You try not to read into it, but sometimes you got to read into it and all this stuff. So because it was a TikTok event last year, the priority was getting TikTokers yellow badges or invited guest passes, etc. Makes sense. TikTok event, TikTok's going to cover more stuff. So a lot of YouTubers and mutuals of mine who could not get yellow badges last year did not feel safe or, did not think it was worth going to VidCon because some of them were massive creators. It is not safe for massive creators to go be wandering the expo hall because then we have things where mobbing happens. It's a fire hazard. It's a safety hazard for the creator, the event staff, the attendees. There's a lot of issues with just having these massive creators wandering around without any form of an escort. A yellow badge doesn't just give you an escort most of the time if you're on the floor, but it also gives you access to be able to get backstage and be able to move around the different areas and different stages safely, okay, without being potentially mobbed or harassed or what have you. Not that creators are going to be harassed, but you get my point. I'm hoping, there's at least a small percentage of fan bases that are not going to be respectful, okay? And that's just kind of the reality. However, because they were YouTubers and they were massive creators, a bunch of people that were running the lounges at the Hyatt for the creators, because there's different lounges at the Hyatt. Usually they're sponsors of the event. And one of the things that they sponsor is lounges for featured creators. And this is a way for industry people, let's say this year it was Instagram, YouTube, Jelly Smack, TikTok. There are massive creators that these companies know that they want to speak to. So, hey, an easy way to get them to come and talk to you is come check out our lounge. We have goodie bags, we have snacks, we have food, we have cool sets for you to take content in. A lot of brands last year did that for YouTubers and the like who did not get invited to VidCon. And last year, they had the badge pickup outside of the Hyatt. So you could go pick up your Hyatt wristband without picking up your badge for VidCon. And so quite a few creators never even went to VidCon last year, and they just went to the Hyatt. This year, I assumed VidCon said, screw that. No, you need to have this wristband, the Hyatt wristband, your RFID wristband for the convention, and a badge visible at all times to not only get into the Hyatt, but to get into any of the lounges. That was the whole thing this year. They were basically like, okay, you can come to the Hyatt if you aren't a featured creator, but you're gonna pay us. I usually have some form of a good time at the actual convention. This year, there was a lot of tweaks that were made that I don't think worked. Let's move past the Hyatt for a second and actually go into the convention hall. Something that I think VidCon has never done well, that I've had an issue with all 4 years I've been at VidCon, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, what have you. You guys do not make it abundantly clear enough that Wednesday is a registration and outdoor day, and then you have the party at night. Because so many parents end up dropping off their teenagers or their young adults to go pick up their badges because they think their kids are going to be able to go and play at the expo hall or what have you. And instead, they're stuck outside. And this year, you guys had even less shade outside. It's June. Why aren't there shades? You guys had like pergolas that were like wrapped up. That doesn't even pretend to have shade. And there's not enough palm trees there because you're in the middle. But they also did something very weird this year. So typically the layout of VidCon, this is our convention center, Anaheim Convention Center. Okay, you've got the expo hall here, the convention center itself. Okay, this is like 3 or 4 stories. You got the expo hall on the bottom floor, creator floor on the second floor. We'll talk about my issues with that in a minute. And then the industry on the top floor. Outside of the expo hall, you have the big fountain. Usually this is where the big VidCon sign is, maybe a YouTube sign, something. And then they have all the food trucks along here. And then typically at the end of this aisle, inside the gate still, is the festival stage. This year, there was no festival stage there. The festival stage was all the way on the other side of the convention hall, outside, where you would enter for the registration, okay, where you would pick up your badges and such. It was the main entrance I would be considered for the shuttles from the Hyatt. That's where we would be dropped off. So there was a lot of foot traffic coming through and by that, which is why I think maybe they moved it there. But my other thinking is that they were hoping that by moving it somewhere else, this would help with crowd control in the food court area so that people weren't trying to go and watch the festival stage while also waiting in food lines. And then there's a lot of jumbling and issues there. Part of me thinks that the hotels complained about noise pollution. And that the noise, that's the main thing I think of. Because when they're over there, they are closer to the convention center, and then California Adventure is across the street. There's not a lot of hotel guests to complain about when it's over there. That's the main thing I think it was. This year, though, they did have 2 Izzy booths facing each other that were blasting music the whole time, so it didn't really matter. However, being over there, the foot traffic wasn't actually that great because it's further away. There are some food trucks there, but it's not like when it was previous years where it's at the end of the food truck lines where maybe I'm waiting for my food, so I wander over and I go watch whoever's performing. I do have a video clip that was sent to me by another YouTuber, Easy's World Horror. He sent me this video that he took at the festival stage in about the afternoon around time where a DJ was doing a set and there's one person standing there and then a photographer for the event. There is no one over there. There was usually not a ton of people over there. The only time I saw someone over there was during the animation panel. Main thing Wednesday, because the industry line is always shorter for badge pickup. I got my they had the Hyatt wristband pickup in that area this year. So you had to go pick up your badge to go get your Hyatt wristband. But my dad was in the creator line picking up his badge because he went last year. And I do feel bad for my dad because he filmed a video for me as well talking about why he left after an hour for VidCon. He did not have a good time. My dad is also a mid-sized creator, but he's a mid-sized creator in a niche that does not really fall under the main umbrella of VidCon. What he got out last year was the creator floor and all the different brands and TubeBuddy and vidIQ and all of that, the channel audits, things like that were not there this year. So he left after about an hour on Thursday and never went back. And he made it very clear to me, and man, if I had paid for the industry pass, I would be suing someone and getting my money back right now. He's that type of person. He's not happy, but also there's quite a few other creators that also did not get Hyatt access for whatever reason that also were very unhappy and left because there was nothing for them to do. I went to a couple of different events that night and all of that. Very fun, very nice, met a lot of creators. Then the next day, Thursday, I got to the Hyatt super early because the Hyatt, all of the lounges open at 9 and they all have breakfast for the most part. Donuts, some people had like breakfast sandwiches, breakfast quesadillas, things like that. And I love free food. So obviously I would go and basically breakfast crawl looking for food. And because a lot of creatives are not morning people, I was usually one of the first people or only people in the lounges at the time, which is really good for me because then it's like, oh, hi, good morning. Like, what do you do at Instagram? What do you do? What type of content do you make? You know, it's like the lazy way to network. Hi, I'm coming to steal your food. I'll listen to your pitch though while I'm eating this donut, you know? Then I went to the expo hall just to go scope it out because I hadn't been inside yet and check a couple of panels because I had a few friends that were doing panels that I wanted to go see and be supportive. When I met up with some friends who had been walking around the expo hall and I was like, yeah, like this is smaller than last year. Because quite a few of my friends, this was their first VidCon. This was my 4th. The expo hall this year was about a 4th smaller than in previous years. They had added more stages this year, which I don't think they handled well with the audio issues. And when I went to Playlist Live, I complained because they had 2 stages in the lobby area of the expo hall. Playlist Live was canceled this year because of logistical errors, which I think is code for we didn't sell enough tickets, but that's just me. At Playlist Live last year in the expo, in their conference center where they had the expo hall for the Playlist Live, they had 2 stages that were facing each other, and so the sound was constantly battling each other. Instead at VidCon this year, they had 4 stages lined up one by one in a darkened area with curtains hanging between them that did not do anything to dampen the noise whatsoever. You're trying to watch a panel and you hear the panel laughing next to you about something that someone else is saying. I don't think it worked very well. And there's got to be a better way, or maybe fix the mic volumes or something. I don't know. There's got to be something. But that side where they had the stages this year, last year is where they had the meet and greet sections. And I think this year they moved the meet and greet sections way over into the back of the expo hall this year because of all the issues last year with the meet and greets. I think that's why they moved it, because last year with the meet and greets, there was quite a few creators. A lot of them were TikTokers who were massive creators on TikTok that had no one come for their meet and greets. If they did have anyone, it would be 4 or 5 people when they were expecting a few hundred because they have 3.5 million, what have you, on TikTok. Now, I do have a lot of issues with how VidCon sets up their meet and greets. For some people, I've heard like, oh no, I found out I was doing a meet and greet yesterday. I found out I was doing a meet and greet today. So not only are VidCon not promoting the meet and greets for a lot of their creators, they don't even really give creators enough time to promote that they're doing a meet and greet. Sometimes meet and greets are decided last minute. Like if someone does get mobbed and they need to move them off or what have you, they do a meet and greet to be like, listen, we can't have you walk the floor, but like we'll do a meet and greet so they can come and meet you. And it's kind of a band-aid solution, but there's got to be something. When you do a meet and greet as well, you basically, I learned this year that you fill out a sheet, like what you're okay with, what you're not okay with, things like that. One people that I talked to, they said that they had said the gifts were okay. And then when they started lining up for the meet and greet, the person walking up and down was like, no gifts, no gifts. And they were like, no, it's okay. Like we don't mind. It's fine. And so it was an easy fix in the moment. But like, if you're having your creators fill out a sheet and you're not going to go off the sheet, what's the point of the sheet? Like, it just seems like we're making more work for ourselves at this point. But they had the area for the meet and greets really tucked away. I did not get into the meet and greets because I believe they're still doing the raffle system. So I couldn't even go over there and see anything. But a few friends of mine did meet and greets and they said it was good. So there's that. But something that I want to recommend, because they did this in 2019 and I believe 2017. I didn't go in 2018 because I was at TanaCon. But 2019, I remember specifically, they did something where they had an arena space. Okay, now there is this big arena at the convention center, but that's not what I'm talking about. They had basically a game zone set up at VidCon in 2019 where they would have like games where they would have like a handful, maybe 10 to 20 creators come together at different times. Like every 2 hours, there would be a different thing, okay? Where they would come and they would do like 3-legged race basketball. So 2 creators are tied together and they're doing that. Like, I think I'm making that up, but there would be weird, wacky games like that, okay? Where they would get a bunch of different creators together to do this event. And it would be cool for viewers and fans because we are watching an event with a bunch of creators who are probably not gonna ever interact. They would never be on a panel together, but they are doing this thing at VidCon together. And that would be really good because it would also draw a crowd, draw the focus away from the booths so that you're not having line con the entire time, because that's what you had this year. There was nothing to do at VidCon aside from wait in line for booths. I understand you have an expo hall and panels. You have those things as well. A lot of the major companies that are usually at VidCon were not there this year. Now, I was told that it's because a lot of them, like Canon, GoPro, there's a gimbal company that's always there, TubeBuddy, vidIQ. Oh, Rode microphones, also not there. I said all of these brands were originally at Cannes Lions, but I truly have no idea if they were at Cannes Lions. I have no way of actually knowing that. And quite a few creators were there as well this year. I know the economy is bad, but a lot of them are massive companies, and VidCon is a yearly event. They are always there. I don't understand why there's not contracts in place so that they have at least something. I understand sponsoring an event is a lot, and to get a booth at VidCon is a lot of money, but there's got to be something here because I heard conflicting stories that they were never going to be there this year or that they pulled out last minute.
I've since talked to more people about this, and honestly, I don't even believe that they could have pulled out last minute considering most brands are confirmed back in January. It's my understanding, aside from smaller booths last minute, because this is such a massive event. So if they did pull out last minute, then that's a contract issue, and VidCon really needs to work on that.
I was told that the head of VidCon left the company about 12 days or so before VidCon happened. And then a bunch of other people at VidCon left, so they were running the event on the skeleton crew.
Once again, reiterating my point that if there was still major changes and decisions being made this close to the event, then we have an issue. And so a lot of the leeway I was going to give them, I no longer want to give them, basically.
So certain things I can kind of overlook to some degree, or I can at least understand why they happened. But at the same time, this event has been going on for 10, 11 years now? more. Some of this should be copy and paste. Some of this should be fill in the gaps. Let's get this going. Some of the issues I can't overlook because we should know better by now. And if anyone says, okay, well, Vidcon bought it only a few years ago. Vidcon is a massive fucking company. If you're having financial issues, do a different event. I don't know. Figure the fuck out. But my point with bringing that up of why these companies were not there is that also made it so that the vast majority of the brands that were there were geared towards children. And so that does not help a 25-year-old who is not a massive yellow badge creator. Let's say I didn't have the Hyatt wristband. I also would have been at the expo hall for maybe an hour, if that. I probably would have left because I would have called up another creator and been like, hey, I see you got an Airbnb. Let's go get tacos, let's go do that. There was nothing there keeping me that would justify my attention. I love expo halls. I go to events all the time. I love wandering expo halls. Half of my videos are me wandering expo halls. And I was so bored. There was nothing to do. The line situation was a mess. The YouTube shopping thing, that looked cool. The line was always over an hour long. I never even went inside there. I couldn't get inside there. I looked through a couple of things, but I never got the chance to get inside there. And it's just a line game. You have these panels, you have these things where you hope that it's going to draw them away, but it's very difficult to do that when you just have nothing for people to do, And again, it's like, oh yeah, there's a festival stage happening, so people are going outside, but they're all the way over there. The food truck's over here. Some people don't even know because there's different entrances. Once you pick up your badge, you may never go back over to that corner where the festival stage is again, unless there's someone exactly there that you want to go see. Whereas over there, you would get some random foot traffic, and then you've got a creator watching a rapper that they've never heard of before. I don't know, something. Have more things to do, more things to watch that are not just panels, especially when your panels are messes. The amount of creators I heard that had yellow badges that told me that they had their schedules stacked because, like I said, I think you guys were holding on to the yellow badges like gold this year so that more creators would have to buy an actual badge to get into the Hyatt or to be involved in the event whatsoever. And so the people who you did give yellow badges to, in an effort to prevent giving more yellow badges, you just stacked their schedules. I spoke to several creators who told me that they had at minimum 4 things that were on their schedule. And some of whom said, oh yeah, they tried to stack my schedule. And I told them, no, it's my first VidCon. It's X. I didn't want to do all of that. They're not paying me. I'm not going to go do that. That being said, to my knowledge, no creators get paid for being a part of VidCon. What you get out of being a part of VidCon is, again, the ability to meet your fans, the platforming, the safety things, your room being comped or whatever for that. In some instances, like this one creator that I mentioned earlier, they had to basically beg, even though they had a yellow badge, and were doing several things for them each across the days until finally they said, I can't do this anymore. They had to beg to pay for their own room at the Hyatt when they are literally doing several things for them. Again, like I said, they were stacking people's schedules. So you have people who should not be moderators being moderators. Just because someone is good on camera does not mean they will be good on a stage with a microphone. And that's fine. That's no big deal. They don't have to be. That's not in the job description. This is just one of the things that just comes with being a YouTuber sometimes is you get invited to be on panels as another way to interact with your audience in a way that's safe where they can come and see you and hear you talk and you can answer their questions. But, there's a safety thing. There's a separation. I get it. I see the appeal. But then what you do is you have someone who is an experienced moderator or is better at talking and ideally not friends or incredibly friendly, or in the same friend group as these people doing this panel, to kind of give a guide, a rudder, if you will, so that you don't have random Discord-esque live stream conversations happening on a stage when people have paid at least $100 to go to your event. Do you get my point? Do you see what I'm saying? Because some people should not be moderators, and that's okay. It's not something that everyone needs to be doing. And I'm not saying make me a moderator, but I'm saying that I was begging you guys to let me do fucking anything, and I would have done something, okay? Instead of some people who straight up were like, I don't want to be a moderator, but they gave me this job anyway. For the commentary panel, because I went and saw that, couple mutuals in there. But in that regards, Drew should have gone and said, I don't really want to be a moderator, but here we are. They have given me this job. And I was told that it was because they didn't have enough microphones. And even then, Chad and Curtis had to share a microphone. I just think that at this point, we can invest in more microphones. There's quite a few instances of things like that. I talked to another creator who has been on several VidCon panels and events for years at a time, is a massive creator. I can't give you too much more information about who this person is, but I can I am telling you, he is a credible source for this. He had told me that the way they pick people to be on certain panels is that they just kind of have panel ideas, and then they just plug in creators that want to be involved in VidCon to give them a spot to do. So you then have someone who is a new creator discussing burnout when they have never dealt with burnout at all. Things like that. And again, this just seems like a programming issue. This seems like little things that by now we can fix. You guys have been announcing featured creators for months. Like back in January, you guys were announcing featured creators. You should know exactly where they are going to be once you announce them. And they should also be on board with that. There was a couple of things where it's like, oh yeah, you're going to go do the out of the box, VidCon out of the box or whatever. And they straight up were like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't get why you guys don't tell people things. I don't understand. You know what a creator can do when they are involved in something? Like what if they're doing a game for children, okay? And they're an adult creator with an adult audience and they pull up wearing something that may not be appropriate for children to be seeing. And I'm not trying to make an indictment on these creators whatsoever. It's like, there's just things that you tell people. You'll have a better outcome for the viewer as well, the attendee, if you communicate with creators as well. The thing that I heard the most is that VidCon is having an identity crisis. Right now, the event itself is for children, young teenagers, and the creators involved are mostly not young teenagers. Most of us are adults now, or at least 18. Then you also have the instance where VidCon used to be for everyone, okay, where you would have the fan side of things, the up and coming, growing, wannabe creator side of things, and then the established creator side of things. The Hyatt element now has made that divide between the up and coming, growing creator side of things and the featured creator side of things a much wider gap. In 2017 and 2019, I could walk around and meet a variety of creators, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Literally just walking around on the community floor, I would meet more creators than I would on the creator floor. That has changed now because those creators don't have incentive to hang around and spend time with people when there's nothing for them to do in the expo hall, and on the creator floor, there is even less for them to do. The panels though, this is where I think the issue is. So last year what it was is I believe they had the industry floor above the expo hall. I didn't get into industry last year. And then they had the creator floor above registration. So they had way more of a mini little expo hall for creators only over there. I think the issue is that the foot traffic over there was an issue. But again, if the foot traffic is an issue for that, why have the festival stage there? You hear what I'm saying? Like I hear why you make some decisions and then you make others. And I'm like, did we learn? Nothing. But that was, I think, better because you would have bigger rooms for talks and things like that this year. I was only on the creator floor for like one afternoon because again, there was nothing to do there. There was very little to do there. There's 2 main events happening, which is fine. A lot of these events are like that, but like there's clearly a focus on the industry side of things at the Hyatt. And so if you just want to have an industry event, have an industry event. And they make the money from the industry cards anyway. But the problem I think mainly with the creator floor was that the rooms are too small for that floor with what the creator floor has become. More so this year, I did say the creator badges were far less fans trying to meet creators. Last year, that was my issue with it. A lot of people who had creator badges last year, because there's no barrier to entry for a creator badge, nor do I really think there should be, but I think there needs to be a middle tier somewhere, okay? Because again, the gap between creator and Hyatt, featured guest, yellow badge, whatever, is getting too large, okay? So you have these massive creators, a lot of whom were larger than me, who just happen to not have industry connections whatsoever. There's a variety of reasons of why I have contacts at YouTube.
1, I'm insufferable. 2, I go everywhere. So they see me all the time and they're like, oh, we should talk to her. 3, I cover a variety of different topics, a lot of which get shown to YouTube for a variety of reasons. 4, I said I'm insufferable, right?
But there's a lot of big creators who don't have contacts at YouTube, okay? They don't have partner managers. They don't have this or what have you. And even then this year, I've heard from a variety of people who said, yeah, no, they literally told us that we could give out like 2 badges per person or something like that. So thankfully, I know a variety of people who are like, let's get you on this list. We'll figure it out, that type of thing. But a lot of people don't have that, or their name was put forward and they were denied for whatever reason. I don't know, because they ran out of tickets or something or passes. Quite a few creators that I talked to and met on the floor who were like, yeah, I'm here. I've been at the expo hall for like 5 minutes. I'm not going to go back. There's no point in me going back. Massive creators, just because they don't have a connection at the Hyatt. YouTube is too big to accurately represent everyone at VidCon. And I know that. That's fine. But like the Hyatt is basically Vid Summit, but more fun. That's really it. Vid Summit is very much a conference, what's it called? This is like a mixer mingling event constantly with like little activations and fun little brunches and things like that. I did creator speed dating with YouTube this time around, which was, I think, very helpful. Not because I was trying to date anyone at YouTube or with another creator, what have you, but because creators are very bad at pitching themselves. We really are. A lot of us are very bad at self-promotion. So being able to do 3-minute speed dating where it's like, okay, tell me about your channel, tell me about yourself, whatever. Getting creators to be like, okay, yeah, I do this, this, and this. And some of them, it was like pulling teeth. Some of them, it's like, what do you mean you make... The phrase positivity content, I was hearing that a lot. No one could explain to me accurately how they had used that to translate. No offense. I'm sure you guys are all very sweet and very nice. I need to know what you do. Okay, so I promote smaller channels. I hear you. Great, wonderful. How did you start getting into that? Because you would have to be a larger creator in order to do that. I've done other things. What are those other things? Went to the industry floor. Here's what I think needs to happen again, is that you guys need to stop utilizing the second floor of the expo hall. Stop utilizing it. You've got elevators that go up to the top. You've got escalators that go up to the top. Have that whole area for the second floor blocked off. Use it for a party or something. I don't know, but don't use the second floor. Get rid of industry up at the top and put industry in that side view aside from there anyway. Because on that third floor are these massive, massive panel rooms. And the amount of people who use these that actually go not for networking, but for the panels, much smaller than that. And I just think that VidCon is having an identity crisis more than anything. I think there's a money issue. The amount of creators that were like, I'm worried this is the last VidCon because I don't know what's going on. There's clearly a money issue. Something is going wrong. And like, also, I think that Playlist Live being canceled, they said it was because of technical issues, but this close to the event, I assume it was lack of ticket sales. The best thing you can do for the longevity of VidCon is keep creators happy. Fans are going to love the opportunity to come and meet creators regardless. A lot of creators, again, there's a safety issue. I have anxiety. And I'm sure there's a lot of creators that feel that same way. Dreams fan base, terrifying, okay? I also would not go anywhere alone, frankly, anymore if I had Dreams fan base. Like the bare minimum of research for like these panels that you guys are planning, like who is doing programming? Are they working? Are you guys talking with the creators that you have on these panels at all prior to it? I'm not speaking in regards of like, can they carry on a sentence on the spot? I am talking about like, is this someone who should even be on this panel? That sounds weird when I say it like that. I'm literally saying like, does this channel match the content that they make? Does this person match the panel that is they are going to be speaking on, that are supposed to be an authority of a topic? When you put someone on a panel that has something to do with like a very specific topic, like, oh, let's talk about this type of content, they should probably actually make that type of content. That sounds like the bare minimum. Certain logistical things like the stage setup and things like that just seems like something we should be past by now. You guys should know better than that by now. Like there's just little things. And the cost of this industry badge ticket, you guys used the VidCon app this year for the industry, which was, I heard a lot of complaints from a lot of companies specifically. I go to a lot of these events. There's a bunch of people's faces that I see at a bunch of these events. I talked to a few of them. They're like, last year was great because everyone was on the same app. They would give you a code for the networking side of things. And you could search based on like, okay, I want to look at gaming creators because they work with gaming companies, things like that. This year, that access code was only sent to industry people. And so it was more difficult to actually make meetings with people off app in person because you had to go up to people and be like, oh, you have an industry badge. Do you make gaming content? Are you in the gaming industry? Like it was much more forcing of the interaction, which a lot of people, again, that's a waste of time when you're constantly trying to do business in this industry. So again, there's things that have just worked better previously that were changed this year for whatever reason. Aesthetics, I don't know. I like VidCon. I really do. And I'm not just talking about it from the Hyatt perspective. That has been invaluable to me now, the Hyatt access. Like this year, I was way more comfortable at the Hyatt because I had met so many amazing creators and people last year that remembered me this year, and we got to hang out and make friends and meet new people. Oh yeah. So like I said, security for the Hyatt was much more intense this year. I always had to have this, even driving into the parking garage, I literally had to drive like this going in so they could see that I had the pink wristband. I got a total of 8 wristbands at the end of this, the blue one and the blue badge, in order to go park in the lot for the Hyatt, which is fine. I talked to someone who was like, yeah, I'm a little bummed. I thought this was more exclusive than this, the Hyatt wristband. I was like, they're pretty Loctite. It's pretty exclusive. I was surprised that he said that. He was like, there's just a lot of little kids running around. And I was like, yeah, they're famous kids. They're YouTubers. They are family channel. They are TikTokers. They are toy review channels, what have you. And he's like, all of them, these little 10-year-olds, I'm like, you'd be shocked. how many family channels are here. And then I found out from 2 other people who did have yellow badges that, oh no, there are fans walking around. Because apparently, allegedly, Vidcon sold passes to fans to be able to have access to the Hyatt for a day or 2. What? You guys have signs throughout the Hyatt saying, this is featured creators only. Be respectful of their space. Do not ask for selfies or videos or autographs. And then now I'm hearing from 2 separate people that you guys sold tickets to fans. Are you doing background checks on these people buying tickets? If this is true, I can't find anything about it on their site because the website is now like, thanks for coming. If that is true and you guys are selling access to fans, like I'm not even upset about that as a creator who knows massive creators who cannot get into the Hyatt. It's the safety element.
Being the nosy little shit that I am, I snapped a photo of the badge breakdown and access list. I don't see anything on here that would indicate that they were selling a badge like this.
I hope that this is not the last Anaheim Vidcon. I don't think it will be. I think this is too much of an industry event to disappear, but there's got to be more done to close the gap between creator badges and yellow and industry badges.
You also need to decide if this is still a creator and fan event, because I think that you are kind of separating the two further at this point. And at the end of the day, if you want fans to keep buying tickets and coming, you do have to keep creators happy because they're the ones that draw those crowds.
Will I go to VidCon next year if I'm not banned? Probably. Who knows where I'll be next year. I just think you guys are having an identity crisis. I think there needs to be something. If you want to have an event for industry, have an event for industry, okay? But there needs to be more for creators to do at VidCon. I don't know how to fix the expo hall, really. Aside from adding more to do, like a game arena or something. Creators love doing stuff. We love doing stuff. We love getting free stuff. Hey, if you guys agree to do the basketball game or like whatever, or the plunger throwing contest, whatever, you guys will get a blue team and a red team t-shirt. Creators love free shit. Look at the Hyatt. I got cool sunglasses because I'm a partner person. That's it. That's my VidCon. Free stuff. People love that. They will say yes to things. I think that's really going to be it for this. You please fans by pleasing creators, and then you have this never-ending ecosystem of creators coming in and being involved, so you continue to sell tickets to their audiences. And there's got to be more things to do than stand in line to jump off a platform to catch a squishmallow. Do you guys have creators on your team at VidCon? I think that's the question I should ask more often. Do you guys have creators involved in the planning of VidCon, like a creator consultant or something? Because I just think that something as simple as that would prevent a whole host of issues, I just think. Anyways, that's going to be it. Reminder, I have a podcast, the Swell Shenanigans Podcast. The Swell Shenanigans Podcast is available on all Podfox platforms, but Swell Entertainment in podcast form will only be available on Spotify, and you can click those down below. Reminder, I have merch. The merch will probably be Ask a Creator Today or something like that. Shout out to my Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. You can also support me on Patreon. Levels down below. Like to find me on social media. That'll be all up here, and that's going to be it. Have all the day. Goodbye. The creator industry, the creator economy is still booming, despite layoffs and ad rates falling and things like that. It's too widespread at this point for it to completely fizzle out in a year or 2. There's going to be a lot of changes, I think, and there's going to be a lot of ebbs and flows and rises and falls of different platforms and creators and different types and things like that. But this industry is not going away, and there is a good amount of money in this industry. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes, because VidCon has always been the foremost event for this industry. And I just think they kind of need to reevaluate and reorient to some degree right now. Goodbye.
Thank you, Andrew, Allen, Awful, BJ, Cameron, Christopher, Chris, Crispy, Crispy, Crash PC, China, Dirty One, Don, Elliot, Donnie, Evan, Eric, Eal, Hopeless Homer, Incognito, Isaiah, Joe, John M, Jordan, Joseph, Kenny, Kim, Kristen, Justin, Lamb, Lexus, Luis, May West, Madeline, Matt, Matthew S, Meme Michael, Michael J, Michael T, Micah, Nathaniel, Pat, Penn, Richard, Philip, Rob, Rosie, Red, Robert, Ross, Ryan, Sam, Serena, Skylar, Simon, Tasha, Timothy, Heavenly Plastic, Tyler, Tenzin, Tom, Thomas, Qwerty, Victor, Randy, Winter, Wendy, Will, Williams, Endry's Wink.